Day to you. We have finally made it to the end of the work week, and not a bad day whatsoever. Just a little bit cloudy, but warm again. We actually did officially get up to 70 for an official high at Bushfield this afternoon. So I hope you enjoyed the warm air, because as we head into the weekend, we are going to notice some changes, all thanks to a cold front pushing through tomorrow morning. Now, for the time being, I would say if you're stepping out this evening through tonight, it's not going to be that cold. We'll most likely stay in the 50s for low temperatures tonight, but high temperatures moving forward into the weekend. Going to be about 10 degrees cooler tomorrow relative to what we were today and yesterday, and then by Sunday, highs only expected to be in the mid-50s. Now, the good news is both days this weekend do look mostly dry. If we do see any rain from this cold front moving in, most likely would be before sunrise Saturday, and it's not expected to be too much, if any. Here's a look at our radar network at the moment. So the rain is going to be driven by this front. It's going to continue moving east. This area of low pressure is going to be dragging it along and just kind of progressing towards the northeast coastline. So there is some rain ahead of it at the moment, but by the time it reaches us, just not expected to be much. I'll quickly zoom in to just where it looks like our composite radar here is showing maybe some light rain there in the southern CS ray, but this is a composite radar. If I'm going to switch this over to reflectivity, and you can see it's much less. So a lot of that likely not hitting the ground. If it is, it's just one or two drops, nothing that's really going to get you soaking wet out there. So once again, mostly dry this evening into tonight. And our current temperatures are still in the 60s for most spots. So we're only going to drop into the low and mid 50s by daybreak tomorrow morning. So it's definitely not going to be too cold to start off the day. The thing is, watch what happens to these temperatures as we head into the afternoon. They don't really increase too much. So it's going to be a tricky high forecast. It could be a scenario to where we actually hit our high temperature before the cold front pushes through before sunrise, and then we just kind of see relatively stable temperatures during the day in the 50s. So it's not going to feel too warm by any means, especially when you factor in there is going to be a lot of cloud cover sticking around throughout the day tomorrow. Still pretty cloudy Saturday night into Sunday morning, but we should be able to cool off at least into the 30s. So it is going to be a cool start heading off to those early services Sunday morning. And then by Sunday afternoon, we should be able to break up that cloud cover a little bit better, but high temperatures are going to remain chilly, most likely in the low and mid 50s. And then by Monday morning, that's when we should get some freezing temperatures back across the area with low temperatures close to 30. This is also the time of year, if you're a bird watching fan, that the bluebirds, they're getting ready to build their nests. So if you have had bluebird houses prior, just make sure you're cleaning them out so they have a place to nest for this coming up spring. So bird watching forecast looks good tomorrow. It's going to be cool, cloudy, not overly windy though, so I'd imagine birds are flying around having a good time out there at the bird feeder. Lake forecast, pretty good fishing weather, I'd imagine tomorrow. With the front pushing through, we're going to have dropping barometric pressure, cloudy skies, so good recipe, I would imagine, for catching a lot of fish. So best of luck to you if you're heading out there. Temperature-wise, lake temps, low 50s, air temps will be in the 50s most of the day tomorrow. And then on Sunday, going to be a much calmer day. Could be a little bit breezy up at the lake tomorrow morning as that front's pushing through, but by Sunday, fairly calm winds expected. Here's a look at our expected wind forecast. So by tomorrow morning, pretty good sustained southwest wind ahead of that front, anywhere from around 10 to 15 miles an hour. But once we get into the afternoon, that front's pushing away, our pressure gradient starts to lighten up, and we should see those winds diminish later into the afternoon. By Sunday, really not expecting wind over 5 miles an hour most of the day, so a much calmer afternoon expected on Sunday. Another thing that may have been impacting you this week with the warm temps we've been seeing is the pollen count. Tree pollen is actually getting pretty high across the region at the moment. Juniper, elm, alder trees currently the top culprits for that. By the time we get to Sunday, as the temperatures cool off, we'll start to see some calmer winds. That should allow the pollen count to subside some, but it's not going to go super low. The reason is we just don't have a lot of rain in our forecast anytime soon. So looks like we do stay mostly dry this weekend, but by next Friday, looks like a pretty good opportunity for rainfall. But take a look at some cold air moving in by early next week. We should be waking up upper 20s early Monday morning, and then Tuesday still in the low 30s. And then you can see that gradual trend back up heading into next week. So that is going to be a sign of some pretty decent rain chances by next Friday. So here's a look at our 7-day forecast. Pretty decent going into our President's Day holiday weekend. By President's Day on Monday, we should be a little bit warmer, at least getting those highs back into the low 60s, and then highs getting close to 70 by next Thursday and Friday. So if you're not a fan of the warm air, you got some cooler air to enjoy this weekend. If you're not a fan of the cool air, you got warmer air returning next week. So a little bit of everything for everybody out there. But hopefully you have a great night and a good weekend. We'll have an update for you coming up on News 12 at 11 o'clock.